The Metaphysician's Nightmare by Bertrand Russell. My poor friend, André Bumblowski, formerly professor of philosophy in a now extinct university of Central Europe, appeared to me to suffer from a harmless kind of lunacy. I am myself a person of robust common sense. I hold that the intellect must not be taken as a guide in life, but only as affording pleasant argumentative games and ways of annoying less agile opponents. Bumblowski, however, did not take this view. He allowed his intellect to lead him whither it would, and the results were odd. He seldom argued, and to most of his friends, the grounds of his opinions remained obscure. What was known was that he consistently avoided the word not and all its synonyms. He would not say, "This egg is not fresh," but "Chemical changes have occurred in this egg since it was laid." He would not say, "I cannot find that book," but "The books I have found are other than that book." He would not say, "Thou shalt not kill," but "Thou shalt cherish life." His life was unpractical but innocent, and I felt for him a considerable affection. It was doubtless this affection which at last unlocked his lips and led him to relate to me the following very remarkable experience, which I give in his own words. I had at one time a very bad fever, of which I almost died. In my fever, I had a long, consistent delirium. I dreamt that I was in hell, and that hell is a place full of all those happenings that are improbable, but not impossible. The effects of this are curious. Some of the damned, when they first arrive below, imagine that they will beguile the tedium of eternity by games of cards. But they find this impossible, because whenever a pack is shuffled, it comes out in perfect order, beginning with the ace of spades and ending with the king of hearts. There is a special department of hell for students of probability. In this department, there are many typewriters and many monkeys. Every time that a monkey walks on a typewriter, it types, by chance, one of Shakespeare's sonnets. There is another place of torment for physicists. In this, there are kettles and fires, but when the kettles are put on the fires, the water in them freezes. There are also stuffy rooms, but experience has taught the physicists never to open a window, because when they do, all the air rushes out and leaves the room a vacuum. There is another region for gourmets. These men are allowed the most exquisite materials and the most skillful chefs, but when a beefsteak is served up to them, and they take a confident mouthful, they find that it tastes like a rotten egg. Whereas when they try to eat an egg, it tastes like a bad potato. There is a peculiarly painful chamber inhabited solely by philosophers who have refuted Hume. These philosophers, though in hell, have not learned wisdom. They continue to be governed by their animal propensity toward induction. But every time that they have made an induction, the next instant falsifies it. This, however, happens only during the first 100 years of their damnation. After that, they learn to expect that an induction will be falsified, and therefore it is not falsified until another century of logical torment has altered their expectation. Throughout all eternity, surprise continues, but each time at a higher logical level. Then there is the inferno of the orators, who have been accustomed, while they lived, to sway great multitudes by their eloquence. Their eloquence is undimmed, and the multitudes are provided, but strange winds blow the sounds about, so that the sound heard by the multitudes, instead of being those uttered by the orators, are only dull and heavy platitudes. At the very center of the infernal kingdom is Satan, to whose presence only the more distinguished among the damned are admitted. The improbabilities become greater and greater as Satan is approached, and he himself is the most complete improbability imaginable. He is pure nothing, total non-existence, and yet continually changing. I, because of my philosophical eminence, was early given audience with the Prince of Darkness. I had read of Satan as Der Geist der Stets Verneint, the spirit of negation, But on entering the presence, I realized with a shock that Satan has a negative body as well as a negative mind. Satan's body is, in fact, a pure and complete vacuum, empty not only of particles of matter, but also of particles of light. His prolonged emptiness is secured by a climax of improbability. Whenever a particle approaches his outer surface, it happens by chance to collide with another particle, which stops it from penetrating the empty region. The empty region, since no light ever penetrates it, is absolutely black. Not more or less black like the things to which we loosely ascribe the word, but utterly, completely, and infinitely black. It has a shape, and the shape is that which we are accustomed to ascribe to Satan. Horns, hooves, tail, and all. All the rest of hell is filled with murky flame, and against this background Satan stands out in awful majesty. He is not immobile. On the contrary, the emptiness of which he is constituted is in perpetual motion. When anything annoys him, he swings the horror of his folded tail like an angry cat. Sometimes he goes forth to conquer new realms. Before going forth, he clothes himself in shining white armor, which completely conceals the nothingness within. Only his eyes remain unclothed, and from his eyes piercing rays of nothingness shoot forth, seeking what they may conquer. Wherever they find negation, wherever they find prohibition, wherever they find a cult of not doing, there they enter into the inmost substance of those who are prepared to receive him. Every negation emanates from him and returns with a harvest of captured frustrations. The captured frustrations become part of him and swell his bulk until he threatens to fill all space. Every moralist whose morality consists of don'ts, every timid man who lets I dare not wait upon I would, every tyrant who compels his subjects to live in fear, becomes in time a part of Satan. He is surrounded by a chorus of sycophantic philosophers who have substituted pandiabolism for pantheism. These men maintain that existence is only apparent. Non-existence is the only true reality. They hope in time to make the non-existence of appearance appear, for in that moment what we now take to be existence will be seen to be in truth only an outlying portion of the diabolic essence. Although these metaphysicians showed much subtlety, I could not agree with them. I had been accustomed, while on earth, to oppose tyrannous authority, and this habit remained with me in hell. I began to argue with the metaphysical sycophants. "What you say is absurd," I expostulated. "You proclaim that non-existence is the only reality. You pretend that this black hole which you worship exists. You are trying to persuade me that the non-existent exists. But this is a contradiction, and however hot the flames of hell may become, I will never so degrade my logical being as to accept a contradiction." At this point, the president of the sycophants took up the argument. "You go too fast, my friend," he said. "You deny that the non-existent exists? But what is this to which you deny existence? If the non-existent is nothing, any statement about it is nonsense, and so is your statement that it does not exist. I am afraid you have paid too little attention to the logical analysis of sentences, which ought to have been taught you when you were a boy. Do you not know that every sentence has a subject, and that if the subject were nothing, the sentence would be nonsense? So when you proclaim with virtuous heat that Satan, who is the non-existent, does not exist, you are plainly contradicting yourself." "You," I replied, "have no doubt been here for some time, and continue to embrace somewhat antiquated doctrines. You prate of sentences having subjects, but all that talk is out of date. When I say that Satan, who is the non-existent, does not exist, I mention neither Satan nor the non-existent, but only the word Satan and the word non-existent. Your fallacies have revealed to me a great truth. The great truth is that the word not is superfluous. Henceforth, I will not use the word not." At this, all the assembled metaphysicians burst into a shout of laughter. "Hark! How the fellow contradicts himself!" they said when the paroxysm of merriment had subsided. "Hark at his great commandment, which is to avoid negation. He will not use the word not, forsooth!" Though I was nettled, I kept my temper. I had in my pocket a dictionary. I scratched out all the words expressing negation and said, "My speech shall be composed entirely of the words that remain in this dictionary. By the help of these words that remain, I shall be able to describe everything in the universe. My descriptions will be many, but they will all be of things other than Satan. Satan has reigned too long in this infernal realm. His shining armor was real and inspired terror, but underneath the armor there was only bad linguistic habit. Avoid the word not, and his empire is at an end." Satan, as the argument proceeded, lashed his tail with ever-increasing fury, and savage rays of darkness shot from his cavernous eyes. But at the last, when I denounced him as a bad linguistic habit, there was a vast explosion. The air rushed in from all sides, and the horrid shape vanished. The murky air of hell, which had been due to inspissated rays of nothingness, cleared as if by magic. What had seemed to be monkeys at the typewriters were suddenly seen to be literary critics. The kettles boiled. The cards were jumbled. A fresh breeze blew in at the windows, and the beefsteaks tasted like beefsteaks. With a sense of exquisite liberation, I awoke. I saw that there had been wisdom in my dream, however it might have worn the guise of delirium. From that moment, the fever abated, but the delirium, as you may think it, has remained.